um, okay, guys. So now we are back live. This is in fresh stream, so I think people are gonna have to re-click, and it might take a second. But I'm just gonna do another quick introduction. I'm Sean Flew from Lift Roll. Everybody, guys, we're doing another live Lift Roll video. We are having some technical difficulties this today, but we are doing a live video on mental health and mental awareness, especially with spinal cord injuries. We have Jessica here from Take Control Therapy, and I'll let everybody introduce themselves again. Let's just start this over. Tom, go for it, man.
Hey everybody, thanks again for joining us and sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm Tom Conway and I'm a C5, C6 quad as well. Um, yeah, and pass it on over to Bobby.
What's up, everyone? My name is Bobby Rohan. I was injured 31 years ago, C5, C6, quadriplegic from a cycling accident. Great to be here. Thanks to our host, Sean, and our co host, Tom, and our special guest. I will turn it over to my love, someone I've been mentoring for so long and out past me in life when it came to dedicating herself to her therapy, to her school, now to her career, and a great mother, Jessica Brito.
Hi guys, thank you for having me.
Thank you for
Um,
joining us.
my name's Jessica Brito. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and this year I started my own private practice as a mental health provider. I am I was injured 10 years ago, and I'm excited to kind of dig into this topic. I think obviously one of the biggest reasons why I went into mental health was the fact that I wanted to understand the process that we all go through after an injury. So one of my passions is to work with people with spinal cord injuries and mental health.
Yeah, that's great. And so everybody who doesn't know, Jessica has her own practice. She started everything. She's a licensed therapist and does all kinds of stuff. Great work in the community, not only spinal cord injury community, but just for everybody in general. Um, so yeah, if you guys want to get right into it, we'll do a quick introduction on just kind of what mental health is to get started, which we're going to let Jessica dive into that, I think, mostly. And so we're going to do a little bit of that, and then we'll get into some more basics of just mental health stuff, and we'll dive into some more deeper topics as we get going here.
Well, first,
Oh,
Jessica, can you give us a little background on how you got started and
so
get into then what is? I'd love to hear, since before your accident and then since your accident, how you got into mental health.
Yeah, of course. So before my accident 10 years ago, I was a single mom and I was studying at Cal State Fullerton as a history major to be a teacher. After my car accident, we all go through such a crazy transition, just going from able-bodied life to now having this injury and having some physical limitations. And I really started to analyze like what this does to our brain, what does this do to us mentally, and I met really amazing, resilient people. Right, I met Bobby as soon as I got injured, and it's like how do people bounce back after something so catastrophic? And that's kind of what led me um, to seek out a new career. And I went back to school after 2.5 years of being injured and started studying psychology. After working with different people, different injuries, at Rancho Los Amigos as a peer mentor, I wanted to know more about the clinical side. How do I sit down and actually I knew what depression was, I knew what anxiety was. How do I help someone fix it? That was my big thing. So I went back to school. I got a master's at USC in social work. I did social work because it kind of gave me a very broad avenue of what I could do. So I started working in substance abuse treatment. I've worked with children, I've worked with adults. And, I went back, did an internship at Rancho Los Amigos to work with spinal cord injury. But it was more of, I had the experience of going through this huge transition and what that did to me mentally. and what it did to a lot of my friends around me, because I was heavily involved in our community at the time. And then I started working at a clinic, and it was more about learning those hands-on techniques that actually help people get through life-changing events. And currently, I work in a primary care setting, and I help uh, individuals of all physical types. You know, I work with one or two SCIs in my private practice because I opened my private practice this year. And then I work with everything. I mean, it's a very hard experience to get diagnosed with cancer, to get diagnosed with diabetes, to get diagnosed with, hypertension, and just the adjustment that you have to go through when you experience a new diagnosis of physical health. And I'm really an advocate for the fact that, to me, mental health and physical health are the exact same thing. So when we
Particularly
get
with
it, huh?
chronic disabilities or chronic illnesses, chronic disorders,
Yeah,
those are pretty overwhelming. It's like
yeah,
very
yeah,
difficult to grasp and understand something that's going to be for the rest of your life.
yeah, definitely, yeah. And it's that acceptance, and that how am I still myself, and how have I gone through this? So when we talk about general mental health, um, mental health is very physical. Most mental health issues, or as we call them, disorders, really have a component of either a chemical imbalance, a neurological shift. For trauma, we see a lot of changes in the brain, even the formation of the brain itself that happen. So, to me, it was about learning how to help rewire, how to create new new pathways for people to be able to cope and to live just as normal as possible, right? Just happy lives more than anything. um, and if you have chronic mental health issues as well, it's really hard to feel like you're normal. But the more we really look at mental health and realize that it's physical health, that it's a physical component, what your body goes through when you have mental health issues, and how going through physical health impairments causes mental health issues. Usually, the way we see it is there's a gene or some type of makeup in your brain that is susceptible to a disorder. And then your environment or life events will trigger those genes to activate, right? And so that's why at times we see people who, when we talk about spinal cord injuries, who have really great outlook on life and then become injured, and it's just like this shift, where they go through extreme depression, anxiety, PTSD, um, suicidal ideation, or attempts. And it's because they their body or their brain carried the gene, and then just that traumatic event will kind of activate it, and it really shifts your belief system. Right? If you live your life thinking the world is fair, if you're a good person, good things happen to you, and then you have this crazy event, and it really shifts the make of your brain, which has always intrigued me. Or the opposite, if you're already living a very hard life and your belief system is life is always going to be against me, and then this happens to you, it kind of just reinforces that belief system,
Right.
right?
Yeah, and the
And
thing that we've talked about before on the show is like adjusting to that new normal after injury. That journey and that process to finding that new normal in your life, because I mean it's not going to be the old normal. I mean it can't be, because things are obviously different. But that process of adjusting to that, finding that new normal, can be so overwhelming, can be so long. It can be like this tunnel with no end in sight, right? It can feel like that, and yeah, I mean I can only imagine the obstacles and those mental health triggers and disorders that can hinder that, like the obstacles in the way of adjusting to that new normal.
Yeah, definitely. It's really a shift that happens, and that was my big drive. I'm like, okay, so we're depressed. What are we gonna do about it? And I really wanted to be that person that could help people not just understand their disorder, but really get through it, really work through it. And I have awesome experiences with my clients, and I've seen extreme traumatic events happen to people, and the resiliency that humans have is just amazing. Um, you know, and we all know, right? A spinal cord injury isn't just all of us sitting in a chair. It comes with so much, right? And so on top of that, to have like, there's a difference between being sad and being depressed, right?
Right.
Um, Something bad happens to us, human reaction is sad. Like that's normal. That's what you should do. It's when we kind of stay within that sad for weeks and months, and we're just kind of stuck in that moment. So helping people sometimes not just cope with the fact or adjust to a life of a spinal cord injury, but adjust to a life of clinical depression, right? Because that's a tough one, because if you now have clinical depression, if you now have anxiety, if you now have PTSD, well, on top of the SCI, I have to live with this. And so helping my clients really learn how to the same thing we've all learned, right? How to accept this new normal, how because depression, anxiety, PTSD, they kind of come in waves, and if you learn how to ride those waves, we know same thing as a spinal cord injury. If we learn how to adjust, we can live amazing lives.
So, can I ask you about your mental health experience or adjustment following your injury?
Yeah, of course. So for me, um, mostly self-diagnosed, guys. But I often talk about the stages of grief and how we go through denial, we go through bargaining, we go through anger, depression, and acceptance. And so for me, my process, I was in denial for about 6 months to a year, which I encourage denial at the beginning. It's great. It's a motivating factor, right? That's what gets you up to go to therapy every day. That's what gets you to follow through with all of doctor's orders. That's what pushes you. And so clinically, we don't see it as a bad thing, right? Um,
That's
when it
interesting.
came to depression, I wasn't really the type to get sad or to, get down. But as a female, whenever my hormones were out of line, then I would get really sad. And that's actually one of my biggest triggers. I said to myself, if I feel like this 1 week of the month, right? Someone who just went through this injury and feels like this every day, like how do they do it?
Yeah.
And so that was one of my big driving factors of trying to figure out what is this, how do we work with this. I have more of an explosive personality, so I just get mad at people. So and anger and irritability are both symptoms of depression, anxiety, and PTSD. So for me, I really manifest my emotions through anger, so just irritability.
So,
So
how do you adjust or how did you adjust and manage it? I mean, like through such serious trauma, like what was your experience like getting through that? Was it time and, just like learning and understanding your disability made it easier to just get through, like it easier without the anger, just, I don't know, I get angry all the still 24 years post injury. Like if I'm trying to get up in the morning and spasming and stuff, like it can really change my mood, and I got to catch myself and stop
Mhm.
myself, not let it affect my mood for the whole day. If I'm extra spazzy or if I'm not feeling good, like how do you deal with that?
Oh,
oh no.
Repeat,
Jessica's
please.
Looks like she might have frozen. Hopefully she'll
Okay.
catch up.
Yeah, sometimes it just.
Obviously, some I can fill in, and hopefully we can get her back real quick. When she talks about the 5 stages of grief, obviously we got some shock, we got some anger, we got depression, we have a little bit of bargaining that we do with ourselves, and we have acceptance. And the one big thing that in mental health that we have to recognize is that not everybody is in the same order. Sometimes we are going through shock at the very beginning. That's kind of normal, right? You just can't believe this happened to me, wondering, you know, what am I going to do for that? You're just numb and in shock. And then there's that anger. Well, some people can get angry right away. Man, I can't believe it was that person's fault. And they're angry and they're not in shock and they don't know what, all they want to do is blame somebody. It's not my fault, it's somebody else's. And if it wasn't for them, this wouldn't have happened, and they become angry. They're angry at their family around them, and they don't even know it. And then we have something where we all do, well, if I do this, then hopefully I'll get better. If I pray harder, if I stop smoking, if I, whatever it is, we're gonna kind of bargain with ourselves, um, and then we have acceptance that when we start to understand, like, you know what, I might have to ask. I might have to live like this for a little bit longer than I wanted to, and maybe I'll walk one day, or you know what, I'm not going to walk, or okay, I'll just keep going, doing the best I can. I'm alive, and I'm happy to be here. And so, a lot of us can go through that order in different ways, and sometimes we can go back even 30 years later, kind of in shock a little bit. I still, 30 years later, I can have like a week of just being in shock. That I can't believe I'm like this, in some ways, I'm more hunkered down because of this pandemic, knowing that I get sick very easy. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting numb to myself, just like, really? I see everybody else going out having fun. And now I'm shocked myself that um, I'm not like everybody else. This is just weird to me. And why would it be weird to me of somebody with a spinal cord injury 30 years later? It's just crazy.
I go through that too. I mean, I've been injured for almost all my life, and I don't really know any other different life. Like I don't remember really much what it's like to walk, but still at times, I catch myself like I feel off, like I almost feel caught off guard by my disability, by my injury, and it's usually surrounding like things like the pandemic, where you do see everybody going out, like I see people going to beach, I see people doing their thing and stuff, and then I'm like forced to confront like the fact that I'm at higher risk, or that like it maybe isn't safe for me to go out and stuff, and it's because of my disability, and it's usually when I guess it limits me or it hinders me in a significant way from doing something that I really want to do, that it can throw me off guard, pull me down, and in those instances, like I've struggled with mental health,
Yeah,
and
Sorry, guys.
positive
Oh, we got
attitude
you
and
back.
disposition. Hey Jessica, welcome back.
I feel
Sorry,
that. I was just talking about the 5 stages of grief and how sometimes we just don't go it in that right order. We can go in different orders, and sometimes we can go back to them many times throughout our lifetime. And how, like, through this pandemic, I've kind of gone through shock a little bit. I'm just in shock that I'm this paralyzed that I can't go out and enjoy a little bit more than some other people. That I'm nervous because of my immune system is just really poor. So lately I've just been in shock in some ways, a lot quieter than I usually am. And, and then even some of that anger comes back. If I
yeah.
And
realize I
like
don't like writing.
something that I experienced too, it's almost like grief. It's like grief for the loss. And like I don't even really know what I lost because I don't really remember what it was like to ever walk. But I still like see everybody around me functioning differently than I do. And I feel that loss, and it hits me and it brings me down. And like my coping mechanism or process is like it's okay to feel sad. Like my family is always like, my mom was always telling me like it's okay to feel down. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Just like Jessica said, it's like very natural emotion response. And so I'll, let myself be sad, but I'll try not to let myself stay sad. And I will not always win the battle, but it will go from days of sadness to hours of sadness to minutes of sadness to I'm feeling okay. And, like I just worked on limiting that, like doing things to help make me feel better, surround myself with people that, give me love and, like help make me feel better by being around them. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say too. We can, since Jessica's back now, but we can kind of just finish up on like which we're already doing, like what we use to cope and different things that. So I'll go into a little bit for me. Like I obviously, like I try to stay positive. I try to be a positive person, and especially like, and when I'm around people, I definitely project a lot of positivity and like put on my smile and everything. But I do have bad days. Like I have days where I'm down. I have days when I'm sad, upset, angry. And my whole thing is just trying not to let that last. So like if I have a bad day, chalk it up. It's a bad day. Like today sucks. Screw it. Just hang out, watch an extra TV show, relax. Like I don't know, just do something to help yourself. Just kind of forget about it, relax for the day, and try to move on. Just get that's my whole thing is I just go with the mentality tomorrow's gonna be better. I'm gonna get a good night's sleep. I'm gonna wake up, and whatever the issues are, I'll work it out. Like. So that's my whole thing for not like getting depressed is just trying to really like focus on the one small thing, get over that, and not let it spiral into something bigger and let self balloon things and keep just going on it. And then another thing is just for me like activities, being active, like missing rugby right now with the COVID stuff. I want you to talk about actually a lot of that stuff too, Jessica. But like some of we're dealing with even more isolation and more things that we're already dealing with. But what were you saying, Bobby? Oh, I see. Never mind. So yeah, like just doing all that stuff. Like for me, missing rugby is hard right now. Because that was a big thing. Every Sunday I got to go hang out with my friends, play rugby at a practice, and like get physical activity, physical exercise, and it was really good for me. So that's one thing I'm missing, and I would love to get back to. But like I've just found other ways to cope and deal. But so yeah, do you guys have anything else to add, Tom and Bobby, before we let Jessica kind of take back over on more clinical stuff?
Yeah, kind of what you said about you allow your you have a depressed day. Allow yourself to have that. Allow yourself to have an angry day and a
Exactly.
bang the desk kind of day and watch YouTube or Netflix all day and allow yourself to be a little bit nippy, And I kind of try to, those who are close to that are going to be dealing with me that day. I'll warn them. Listen, it's going to be this kind of day. And then, when they ask me why, and I'm like, I don't know. It's
just
don't ask me why. I'm just in a bad mood today. I can't tell you. Sometimes I can know, and like, this person was bugging me, or this situation's bugging me, or just I want to be outside walking the beach, and that's bugging me. Whatever it is, but allow yourself to have it, and just always remember tomorrow's another day, and don't let yourself fall into that trap day in day out.
Yep. Exactly. I definitely agree with all that. So.
Yeah, it's okay to have a bad day and then you just pick it up and try again tomorrow. But that's the point is to try again tomorrow to have a better day, not a sad day. When you stop trying, that's when you need to talk to someone,
So,
try to get some help.
so one thing I actually real quick because I was starting to go into a little bit of a depression, like when I first was having all the Botox issues, I was really weak. Then I had to move out of my house and move in with family, which ended up really being great for me and stuff. But in the beginning, I was kind of struggling with it. And I was waking up just bummed and sad. And I forget where I saw it, but I saw something about waking up and the first thought every day being a positive, like this is going to be a good day. And just to have that initial thought. And I started doing that in my head. I just did it. I did it for a full month. That's what it is. And after it just started becoming natural. And I would wake up like, yep, it's going to be a good day. Like, and it just sort of just worked with me. And so that was one thing that I sort of did. I started getting into that rut. It just kind of helped me. Just little things like affirmations and stuff. Telling yourself positive things. Also very helpful. Don't get down on yourself. Which I know we're going to
Yeah.
talk about with Jessica too a little bit here. So.
My biggest thing that has been getting me lately is my body's changing, like for whatever reason, like age, time, disability. Like my body's shifted, my back is all heavy and stuff, but I'm spasming more than ever, and it's affecting my sleep. It's affecting my ability to do my daily tasks. It's affecting my life. I mean, just like the ability to function the way that I'm used to functioning, and it's been bringing me down. I'm catching myself like having good days, and my spasming really bad, and like I'm hurting. It's like causing me to feel like lots of discomfort, making me feel dysrexic and stuff. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? What can I do? And I'm taking the proactive steps of like going to the doctor, like trying to understand, figure out what's triggering it, causing it. But part of me is like worried that this is just the new normal. Like my body's just gonna be extra spazzy now. Unless I do something drastic like surgery to figure out and change it. But the way that I've been trying to just cope and deal is, my mom is the best at this. Like she says, count your blessings. Like go over and recount what you're grateful for and what you do have. Like things. Not everything's gonna be perfect and good all the time. There's, always gonna be obstacles and hardships and struggle. But it's really important to not forget what you do have to be grateful for and all the positive and good things that you have in your life. And, like actually, out loud in your head, sitting there and, like recognizing and recounting those things that really do help make you feel better. Like help the, just like pull me away from the harder stuff that is like overwhelmed me at the time. Um, but yeah, that's like one of my main mechanisms.
Well, honestly, you guys named some pretty amazing things. You guys got this down.
Nice. Thanks.
Yeah, and
John,
and I also think you have to recognize too, and I know we were going to probably talk about this more, but it's also good to have somebody to talk to, if it's professionally or personal. And I kind of have two people. One is my very best friend from high school, best friend before my accident. So one person knows me before, besides my parents, before my accident, and that I talk to on a regular basis. And finally, one day I had to put him in check. Like, I'm gonna need you to check in with me when I tell you to, because that means I need you, and I need your full attention. Not about football, not about basketball, not about stupid stuff in life or politics or whatever it might be. I need you to listen to what I'm going through. And then I also have a therapist, and that I recognize that once a month I go see somebody and that I check in with them and make sure I can tell them that things that I would never even tell my best friend, and things that sometimes I don't even think of because obviously they're therapists and they can trick you with motivational interviewing. And next thing you know, you're like, ah, shoot, now I'm discussing something I really knew I didn't want to talk about. But it's great. And it's great to get off your chest. And when I leave, I leave with, feeling great, but also recognizing, you know what, I need to change and stop crying over spilled milk.
Yeah, and like I
For,
became very depressed when
so,
I moved out. Like I moved out to college. Moved from Northern California to Southern California, and I was having like I adjusted. I moved out, and I was adjusting to the independence aspect of it, but I was still struggling a lot. And I had some really awesome friends over at school, but they're AB friends, and I couldn't really talk to them about my disability or anything. But then I found the Northridge support group, and it was like a year. I was pretty down, and I was having a really like tough time on my own here. Feeling kind of alone and lost and stuck. And then I met this magical community of other spinal cord injured individuals that lifted me up and helped like change and transform
shoot.
my life. Oh, it looks like we lost Jessica
Yeah, I
again.
think she dropped again.
Uh,
She's having internet
but
issues.
that was it, the Northern Support Group. And I really recommend. I mean, it helped me in ways that I was struggling with my whole life that I did not realize or understand until I started talking to other quads and started talking to other pairs and other people with similar injuries and, like relating to them and hearing their stories and, like feeling and relating to people that are my people that, like it was incredible. It changed my life in ways that like I am so grateful for. So if you are struggling and you're feeling a little isolated or alone, we're doing a lot of online support groups
Mm.
here in SoCal area. They're all online, meaning like if you are from anywhere in the world, you can join in. Check out the Triumph Foundation page. They are the sponsors for these groups, and they have all the dates on their website.
And if you want the links to those, all you need to do is go on to Triumph Foundation and go under our support group. Sign up for any of the areas, and some people join all the areas and kind of need that help. You can always hit us up on Instagram.
Yeah, I was
At,
gonna say also message us directly. We'll get you the information we
yeah,
need.
and we'll get you the links. There's so many out there. Always love, when we can have big groups and share a lot of ideas. And I think that's the first support. I think one is knowing you have someone you can talk to, because sometimes a big group is not, you feel intimidated. There's a lot of people doing a lot of great stuff. So you might feel intimidated with support groups. So recognizing that maybe the support group isn't your best bet. And obviously we know sometimes our spouse, our family members, our parents, you don't want to tell them too much. And then,
Yeah.
so recognize somebody that you can, going out and trying to see what free clinics that there might be and see what your insurance can offer. Always looking for, when you talk to your doctor, it's a best bet. Say to your doctor, I'm not doing well. And so what they're going to do is help direct you to a social worker. And then that's going to be kind of like they're the first line of defense with being a therapist to you. And then they might find you that extra help, and find what works for your insurance and what they can do for you.
Yeah, and like support groups are not the only groups and resources out there. I mean, if you have it in your area, get in touch with wheelchair sports group or some kind of adaptive recreation group. I know it's all kind of on hold right now, but hopefully when the world starts opening back up again. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember going like first time I went to a quad rugby practice, like it was a different kind of support group. Let me tell you,
That's
being around those guys and stuff. But it was fun and it was amazing and it was different. It was like a little bit more jokey, a little bit more relaxed, and kind of like a less serious vibe. But I'll tell you what, like I got the same kind of support, and like left feeling, a really incredible, like special kind of way that I want to get, like leaving, hanging with a group of, like people in chairs that are doing stuff and talking, hanging, and like just relating to each other. It's really something special.
And I know a lot of people say they're not into sports. And I mean, I know for a lot of us that, especially Sean and I, man, when we entered the rugby world, it was just like, wow, the support of these guys. And we learned a lot from a lot of people on how to do a lot of things.
that's where I
But
learned like
you don't
everything.
sport. Yeah, pretty much I did too. Like every time I went to a different rugby tournament, I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing everything so much harder for myself. You mean you're doing it that way? You're carrying your bag that way? It was ridiculous. But sometimes sports isn't for us. And so looking for maybe Facebook support groups. There's also groups on, oh, now I just dropped my mind, but
Care Cure is a forum also
yeah,
good,
care,
just if you're
care,
looking for information or somebody to bounce
yeah.
things off of.
And finding an activity that you do enjoy. And when you join that activity, maybe it's like arts and crafts, netting, finding a group. There's a great organization in Santa Cruz, and I'm pretty sure they're open to anybody. You don't have to be in Santa Cruz, but it's called Shared Adventures. And they do, when we're not in COVID, they do a lot of different adventures, and you can travel and do their adventures with them if you're, out of the area. And when we get back after COVID, hopefully one of these days. But right now they're doing a lot of online support with bingo and arts and crafts. And that's a form of therapy to yourself that, hey, I'm around some people that were just chit chatting, and you wouldn't believe what that can really help with your psyche. And, instead of sitting there in front of a TV, in front of maybe even just a computer like this, yeah, you might have to be in front of a computer right now, but at least you can see a lot of people's faces. And
Oh,
my
there we
wife
go. We
is
got
like,
Jessica back.
no, right, got Jessica back. We're gonna
I'm
have
so
We're gonna
sorry.
get it over to you, Jessica, because we've been talking.
Jessica, you do all the talking now before we lose you again.
Oh my god, I don't know if it's my internet now or my computer. I kind of have a feeling it might be the computer.
It's okay.
Um,
Got you back now, so that's all that matters.
okay. Well,
So yeah, while we got you, let's.
You guys brought up some great pointers.
Oh no.
The most natural way to work on mental health is exercise, diet, and talking, right? And so you all mentioned a little bit about that. And so as long as we try to stay active, socializing, being involved with our communities, and becoming very creative, especially right now, right? One of the biggest things during this lockdown that I've had to say to all my clients, right, SBI or not, is it's the time to become very creative, okay? And it's because some of the coping strategies that we did before, we just don't have access to right now.
Yeah.
Right? And so you guys touched on that, and it's very true. And so for SBI, we've encouraged a lot the support groups. Reach out, don't feel alone. Okay. Giving yourself the opportunity to feel the emotions is very important as well. A lot of times we try to avoid them. We try not to go through them. We try, and the thing that too, a lot of times without COVID, we had so many distractions. And what I've noticed is that a lot of mental health issues that are coming out right now, they're not new. It's just you weren't looking at them.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
We can't distract ourselves from anymore. Yeah.
And it's like you really have to sit in a room with yourself and just look at yourself. And it's a very hard process for some people. And so I really encourage to become creative. Sean, are you able to pull up some of those flyers?
Yep, I have them. Which just let me know which ones. I kind of posted a couple little things just to show earlier, but yeah, let's.
Yeah. So if you can post maybe the depression one, just so I can kind of.
Yep.
I kind of
Oops.
tweaked it for us, guys.
Is that the
Originally,
common
I
health
had,
issues?
like,
No, that's not it.
huh? I originally did like go for a run.
Oh, tools for depression. That's what I just had up here, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we got that. Tools for depression.
Okay. So I don't know how I can't see it, but is it up?
Yeah, it's up. It's on your side. Yeah, it's on the side
Okay.
of the screen.
Okay. So you guys mentioned a lot of the things on this tool, right? Affirmation. Okay. If you wake up in the morning and decide I'm going to be positive, let me come up with a positive phrase. It really does set the tone for your day. Okay. Another thing on the list is gratitude, right? Tom mentioned gratitude. We are not where we were when we first got injured. So we have a lot to be grateful for, right? For those that are newly injured, gratitude might be hard. It's a really hard one, right? What am I grateful for with everything that I'm going through? But it can be the smallest thing. I have a roof over my head. I had a meal today. Those things are important, Going to Cancun, seeing the areas where this is not accessible, right? So being able, even some parts of LA, some parts of like older cities, right? You're like, thank God I have this other sidewalk I can dig
Heck,
today,
I'm
you
grateful
know?
there's the sky above our head right now instead of
Hmm.
the gray one.
Yeah. So just identifying something, music, I really promote music as a healing tool. Pick a song of the day. If you're feeling down, pick a happy song, a very lively song. Watch a comedy, right? Um, Laughing actually creates chemicals in your body that counteract depression and anxiety and PTSD, right? So getting those chemicals going in your body. And a lot of the things that I suggest are really chemical driven. Okay. So like I said, mental health is physical health. So the tools that I give are to create that chemical reaction in your body, right? Um, if you guys see, I kind of tweaked it. So arm circles, windmills, neck circles, something that gets you moving. Um, Dance a song, whatever that looks like for you, whatever your ability is. Jam out to a good song, move that body.
Like one of the things that I love to do, and it is harder with the COVID stuff, so you make sure to keep yourself safe, but go out for a walk in the sunshine if you live in a sunny area.
Yeah.
That is like my salvation. If I'm feeling funky or in a mood or just down or like stuck in my apartment, it's like, okay, I need a dose of sunshine. So I put on my
Yeah.
headphones, like some good music. I pop out in the sun and like I just make myself feel good for an hour. And it's
And
amazing.
and it's interesting that you mentioned going outside because I do have clients that are like, Jessica, I can't go for a roll on my neighborhood. It's really inaccessible. And just the simple act of sitting outside,
Yeah.
Hmm.
let the sun hit you, listen to some good music, listen to an audible. But just being in that nature really helps as well.
Two of the
Um,
best things you can probably do for yourself is have that vitamin D.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
some people don't realize that after a long day or after a rough day for me, uh, when it's a clear night, sitting out underneath the stars and have
Yeah.
zero, nothing on, music, just listen to the sounds. Unfortunately, I live in the city where I'm hearing cars zoom by, but it really relaxes me. And I mean, for someone who gets cold very easy, I'm like, this is just amazing. I'm sitting under the stars, especially when the full moon is out. It's just like, oh, and it really
Mhm.
can change your attitude real quick and give you a good night's sleep.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
I find myself like very often when I'm like feeling like down and stuff, like I get into a rut. Where I get into like it's a routine, but it's a bad routine. Meaning like I don't eat enough. Like I eat one meal a day, or like I, don't eat at all, or like, I'm
Yeah.
like right down. Like maybe it is like the sad Netflix day, but like I'll stay in a sad Netflix day. But like I've learned to force yourself into a new routine, like a
So,
new fitness routine, a new healthy routine, meaning like put that 1 hour of sunshine in your schedule and make sure you do it and stick to it. And
so
go ahead.
Tom, you can't see the list, but everything you're mentioning is on the list.
Okay.
So, one thing on the list is establish a routine. And the first thing on the routine list is eat 3 meals that day that include some type of vegetable.
Yeah. It says it
Um,
right there, veggies.
yeah. Take
And
a shower, even if it's not what you want to do.
And
Um,
French fries at McDonald's do not count as a vegetable.
yeah, if you deep fry it, it probably isn't as great either. So another thing on the list is do the opposite of what you want to do. Okay. So if your brain tells you isolate, you have to go talk to people. If your brain tells you don't say how you feel, say how you feel. So creating that opposite. And a lot of these tools are on my Instagram if anyone needs them. And I'm more than happy to send them out as well. Um,
And these
I
are
put one up.
like very typical like mental health like techniques for anybody, regardless of whether you're disabled, right?
Yeah, definitely. So that's why it's on my website because everyone can have access to it. I have one on anxiety, which one big thing for anxiety that happens is kind of constant worry, nervousness, fear for the future. And we can see that with our injury because there's so much uncertainty with our injury, right? Tom, you were talking about the changes that your body's going through right now. And this thought of, I don't know if this is like how my body is going to be now, or am I going to figure out a new way of dealing with these changes? So uncertainty can cause a lot of anxiety. Um, and for anxiety, the huge things are what we call grounding, really focus on the present moment. Uh, we talk about nature. The more texture that you can get around yourself, so like really concentrate on the smells around you, the sounds around you. They'll actually pull you out of the whole, am I going to keep spasming? Right?
Yeah.
I tell people just name five things you see in the room, describe them very well, name three things you smell. So on that anxiety one, if you pull it up, it says use your five senses because
And
that's
it's
huge.
it's funny because I am great at
Which
getting
one
stuck
was
in that rut.
exciting?
I used to like have bad 10 minutes and mess up my whole day, you know? But
Yeah.
like I'll still have a rough morning, but instead of dwelling on it, like I'll go make my cup of coffee and I'll smell that like cup of
Yeah.
coffee and I'll like taste that coffee and like I'll just have a couple minutes to just collect myself and like sit and pull myself out of whatever that space was. And it's like I was saying, like don't let 10 bad minutes, ruin like, the next like however many, hours of your good day. Um, so
And
those
that's just
lots of
alone
techniques.
what you mentioned with your coffee, that's all sensory driven.
Yeah,
So if you can really tap into your other senses, because a lot of times when we do meditation, it tells you, feel your legs on the foot plate. You're like, I don't feel them, right? So it's about concentrate on the senses you do have, right? So
yeah.
smell, sound, sight, taste. Um,
And I'll concentrate on my breath. Breathing is
yeah,
always one of the
concentrating on
things.
your breath.
And
Uh,
like I would sit and just meditate on my breath and focus on my breathing. And it helps me physically like feel better because I think I oxygenate a little bit more. But it also like helps calm my mind from the
Well,
buzzing in my
I
head.
do
hey,
the same thing sometimes with the deep breaths, like slow deep breaths. If I need to calm myself down, I'll just take a second, kind of try to close my eyes, calm my thoughts, some slow deep breathing, and that usually will help me. So I
when,
definitely use that.
when you are having an anxiety attack, what is the old method of getting through that? Grabbing a paper bag and breathing. And what
Right.
that what the paper bag was always trying to allow you to do is breathe. Just take some deep breath. A lot of times what I do for myself with breathing is I go good in, bad out. Whenever I exhale out, I say bad out. Good
yeah,
in, bad out. And it just that's something I do for myself. And recognizing breathing, movement, and just you know activities can really change your perspective about your attitude and what you're going through.
yeah.
And
And like,
go
sorry.
ahead, Jessica. No, you go.
All I was gonna say is, you guys all mentioned some amazing and some really good tools, you know.
Um,
Um,
what I was gonna say is like the last like kind of tool that I have in my arsenal is give myself perspective. Like I had the great fortune of growing up with an amazing family, amazing friends, amazing people. But my mom also worked at a mental health facility that like served for like seriously developmentally delayed adults, and I got to interact and be around a bunch of beautiful, amazing, incredible individuals that were very severely and chronically disabled. And I it made me feel very like they're all special, amazing, beautiful people. But still cannot imagine how difficult and how hard it is, how hard it would be to be in that situation myself.
yeah,
Be away from my family,
definitely.
to be
Look,
stuck in a
Jess,
facility, and understanding and like giving myself a perspective. Like people have it worse. Like if I'm having a bad morning, if I'm spazzing and shaking, I'm like just remind myself to be grateful that at least it's not worse. At least like I have spasms that stop, that are manageable. Like at least I, am in my beautiful apartment. At least I'm not, um, struggling with something that I know some other people are out there experiencing more hardships than me. So what do I have to complain about? What do I have to worry about, right? Like I need to man up and figure it out because it could be worse.
Yeah.
So, Jeff,
So I think,
oh, go ahead, Jessica.
Yeah, let's
well,
get
I was just
Jessica
gonna
going.
say, I know we had said around 4:30, so I think I just want to end it with like a little sad blur, right? For
Well,
some people.
can I ask you this one big question that I
Yes.
think will help wrap it up, actually? So we've talked a lot about, things to get you through some of these, hard times and recognizing it. What happened if we can't? When you were off the air once, I was talking about, talking to your doctor to get a social worker. But what is the best way? So we're recognizing you don't want to turn on the lights, you don't want to get out of bed. And no matter what the four of us are saying or wanting to do, we just can't do that. So what's our next step?
So I have a flyer for suicide prevention because that's also something that, we can't avoid talking about, right? And one of the big things on the flyer is talk about it. Okay. Um, so the way I usually encourage people is take the coping strategies that you know have helped you in the past. Okay. Try those. If you can't get yourself to even do those, and if you do those and they don't work, right? Try new ones. If those don't work either, and you continuously get in this mindset, right? Suicidal thoughts are pretty normal. We think they're not, but they are, right? Especially with depression, anxiety, and PTSD. So I think a lot of times we think like if we talk about it, it's a bad thing, but it's not. Like I said, the way we heal is talking, right? So asking those hard questions. Have you thought that, and it doesn't even have to be, I want to kill myself. It can be, have you thought that your life would be better if you weren't here, right? And so if you start having some of those thoughts and they become reoccurring, then that's where it's important to start seeking professional help. Okay. And like I said, before I became a therapist, I worked with a lot of people because I worked as a mentor. And so my job was to provide that support. The same thing you all do in your everyday life. But you hit a point where you realize like there's only so much I can give this person, right? And so even friends, like you're gonna hit that wall. And if you do hit that wall, then that's kind of where professional help is the way to go.
And it takes incredible courage and strength to ask for help and to take that step. So I don't know. For me, that was always kind of something I struggled with is asking for
Yeah.
help, reaching out
And
because
I think
I felt
and
like
I
it was
think
weak or I felt like embarrassed or something that I was
that,
even struggling. But it took me a long time to realize like how much courage and how much strength it takes to like have that to ask for help, and it is a really like brave and strong thing to do. So if
yeah.
are afraid, like don't have that mentality because people won't see it that way because truly,
Yeah.
like
And
it's,
then
it is.
what I what I tell people is the greatest strength is vulnerability. I tell people if crying makes you weak, and if it's for the weak, let me put you on a stage and have you cry in front of 300 people. That requires strength,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Yes.
It
very
is
true.
one of the biggest strengths to be able to say that. But seeking out therapy, I encourage everyone that it should be the same way as going to your primary care provider, right? You do yearly check ins for your body. Why aren't we doing yearly check ins for our mind? Uh, so, exploring that, some of your options are we have crisis hotlines. You can always call them and they'll to see that there is too much. They're going to give you resources within your area. Um, You can always ask your primary care provider, because ever since the Affordable Care Act was passed, mental health is considered a basic necessity of healthcare. Okay, so even Medi-Cal covers it. All my clients, my patients in the primary care setting, they're all covered by Medi-Cal. So if you're insured through Obamacare or any type of Cal Optima or whatever your network is, Medicare, it's considered a basic necessity. So, talking to your primary care is the best way. Primary cares will usually want to give you medication.
Yeah.
And I don't say medication is bad. I feel there's an order of operation, and medication should come after and alongside therapy. So it should be something that you're doing with a therapist, not instead of, right?
Okay.
I describe medication as, if you have a cavity, you take medication, the cavity doesn't go away. So
Yeah.
we still have to work on that cavity, guys. But yeah, so those are some methods. You can always do 211, California. I've actually been asked by other states, and I remember 211 is the same number even in other states.
I not necessarily. I was kind of
No?
checking that out. Yeah, I was trying to help somebody else. So you might want to check out city information for general information for my city. So it's
Yeah,
not 211 for.
yeah. So I
And
got lucky because in another county, in another state, it was 211. But if you're in California, 211, they will get you low cost therapy. And you know what? Honestly, if you just Google therapist near me and they charge 250 an hour, call them anyways. A lot of times they will give you the resources. Okay.
Awesome.
So therapists, generally our job is to help you. And it doesn't mean we'll be your therapist, but it does mean we'll help you. Okay. So worst comes to fail, Google therapist, and most of them will have low cost resources for you. There's a lot of avenues. There's what we call sliding fee scale. Therapists, a lot of times, will work with your income, which a lot of people don't know. Some therapists, we save slots for pro bono, or we save slots for low income, or sliding fee, what we call. So reach out. There's so many ways to get help. Um, and yeah, and shop around too. Some people will tell me, Jessica, I hated my therapist, and I say, okay, it's like dating. You're not always gonna get a perfect match on your first round, and that's okay. Therapists, we're used to that, and we work with that as well. It's our job to help you guys find the right fit. So there's a lot of resources out there, and I really hope, like I said, that we start looking at mental health like primary health.
yeah, well, I think if we were able to address like the mental health issue, society a little bit more, a lot of the
Mhm.
other issues, like they come from that, would definitely
Yeah.
be solved. But before we wrap it up, I did want to touch on. I think Peter asked in the chat to point him in the right direction in regards to
Yeah.
support groups, since the VA is lacking. We did mention this earlier. We're part of the Triumph Foundation, and at least here in Southern California, there's a number of support groups that we host weekly, and you are more than welcome to join, whether you're local or not. That's all the information is on the Triumph Foundation website. You can sign up for their mailing list, and you'll be notified of the groups through your email. But you could also message us directly, and we can point you in the right direction to get that info.
And you can
And
be in
really
any
quick,
area, like we said now. It's all virtual, so it doesn't matter. You don't have to be
Mhm.
local to Southern California. Just let us know.
and also, you don't have to be a part, or you don't have to live in California to join our support
You don't
groups.
have to be part of the
Another
Triumph
great,
Foundation either.
and
Yeah.
and Christopher and Dana Reeves Foundation, they have also support groups you can join, as well as peer mentoring. So if you're in need of a peer mentor one-on-one, they do have that as well. So there's many avenues to look, and if you want to find a support group in your area, you can go to unitedspinalcord.org, and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
have all this support group information in all the other states. So if you feel like, well, California is great, but I'd rather talk to people in my own area because then maybe I can meet some people. So go to spinalcord.org.
yeah, that's a good resource for sure. Thanks, Bobby.
I didn't.
So,
Do we have questions? Because I can't see any of that, guy.
I have a chat here. I think we covered most everything in
yeah, I
the
think
chat.
the couple questions we kind of hit along with the way, just and they were more just a little simpler ones. So yeah, unless we can kind of, if you have any other closing stuff, or I know one of the ones I kind of just I put up while you were talking. I don't know if you want to talk about it more. Is the changing your thoughts flyer? If you want to say anything on that, also, that was the only one I
Yeah,
don't think we fully mentioned, but I posted up anyways.
I love that one. Okay, so there's different types of therapists and there's different types of therapy. Okay. So I specialize in what is called cognitive behavioral therapy, which is the belief system or the theory that it's not your situation, right, that's important. It's the way you react to it, right? Our thought process. So our thoughts are actually interpretations of the situation. And that's why a lot of times you can have two people go through the exact same situation, but somehow have two completely different versions of what happened,
Right.
right? So, um, so what I help my clients do and my patients is learn to change their thought process. Like I told you guys, a lot of mental health is neural connection. So we get into belief systems that kind of shape the way our brain works. And so the only way to switch it back is to rewire by continuous practice. So this sheet that he put up, it tells you like, okay, so we have a situation and then you get to form an interpretation of the situation. And the best way to change your thoughts is to really look at the facts. A lot of times we interpret based on belief systems and not facts, right? Um, Everything in my life goes wrong. Well, if you said everything, it's already not a fact, right? Because if one thing goes right, then that statement's untrue, right? And so it kind of teaches you, okay, so what's another way you could look at that? Well, sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes gives us room, right? And then just kind of how our thoughts influence our emotions, which in the end really cause our behaviors, right? So if I'm gonna isolate, if I'm gonna blow up on someone, if I'm not gonna take the chance on that new job, it usually isn't the fact that you don't want the job. It's a thought process that ignited that behavior, right? I'm not good enough for that job. I'm never gonna get it. So the flyer kind of teaches you to challenge that question and really come up with a new answer, right? And the more I practice with my clients and my patients, the more automatic it becomes. So it's really cool to watch, but after this is what we call brief intervention. So brief being about 12 to 13 weeks. And during that time, seeing the shift, I'll have people say, I came up with an alternative thought by the next day. I just couldn't get that thought out of my head. And by the next day, I figured out an alternative. Then it took me 5 hours. It took me 2 hours. I automatically went to the positive thought.
Awesome.
So this flyer is pretty cool. If you practice it and practice it, it starts working. So kind of like what you said, Sean, about you started waking up and you decided to say it's going to be a good day.
Yeah.
And after a month, right, you kind of started feeling it naturally. and it's really cool to watch in the brain because it actually causes a shift in the wiring of your brain.
It's like changing your metabolism, like 4 to 6
Yeah,
weeks for your body to make that shift to like a different
yeah,
program, a different routine. That is very cool, though.
yeah. So I mean, I love this intervention, and when I was in grad school, most of my study was okay. What interventions work for spinal cord injury? And this is one of the biggest influencers in positive mental health healing for spinal cord injury, TBIs, brain injury. So I've worked with a brain injury on this, and it was really cool to watch because she emotionally couldn't regulate, but she taught herself to say, "Okay, opposite thought," and it was
Nice.
amazing to watch.
That's cool.
Yeah, so
That
it
is
can
great.
help brain injury, stroke, and SCI. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, and that's kind of exactly what I think. The changing your thoughts and positive is, yeah, that's it works, and that worked for me. So I definitely
Mm-hmm.
say try it if you can. It's a good thing you can do on your own.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's amazing. So, I mean, that's what I do, guys. Thank you for having me.
Jessica,
Thank
how
you.
can people get a
Thank you.
hold of you? I know through your Instagram, and so what's the best way if you want to tell everyone? I think your Instagram was up there.
yeah, I
Yeah,
have
so
her website and Instagram in the description, just for also for
yeah,
people.
so the best way you can reach me is Instagram. You can send me a DM, or you can always click on my link tree because my website's on there, and my email's on there. Facebook too. So just shoot me an email and a call, and I'll take a call for free, and I'll really kind of assess and see if I'm a good service, if it's something that would work for you. On my website, you can just fill out the information and you can check off what you're interested in. So I kind of know what we're going in with, and I'll give you a call. But yeah, follow my Instagram because I do videos to kind of try to help people. So if you're not at a point where you're like, okay, I need to seek therapy, but I need a little boost, check it out.
Yeah, and she posts stuff like the flyers and stuff we were showing. She'll post stuff like that on her Instagram and has them on the website and stuff. So just really cool, good free information just to help you get started. So follow her and check it out.
Yeah,
But
thank you guys.
yeah, thanks
Thanks to all
everybody
the
for
viewers
being a
out there.
part. Thank you, Jessica, for sure.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you,
Yes,
Bobby, our amazing
Jessica,
co-host, and thank you for our masterful producer and originator of Live to Roll. The reason all this happened, Sean Fluke. So
yeah.
thank you, man.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, it was a good show. Hopefully, sorry about the technical difficulties. Hopefully, everybody got
Oh
back
my
on.
God, I'm sorry.
Oh, not even
Oh, it's all
yours. In the beginning, we had the drop off, and then yeah,
good.
then you had your issues, but that's okay. I think we picked it up all right once you dropped. We got it good.
Yeah, you guys are amazing. I'm telling you, you guys are the reason why you guys are so healthy mentally is because you guys do a lot of the stuff you should be doing.
Awesome.
So keep it up, guys. Keep it up.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
And thanks everybody for watching. We'll catch you guys next week on the next Live to Roll. Thanks everybody.